Hello, everybody. Happy Final Four breakdown. Holy crap, we made it, Taylor. We made it to the Final Four. And not only did we make it to the Final Four, your beloved North Carolina Tar Heels made it to the Final Four. All that shit you guys talked about beating Duke in Coach K's last game, and now you have to go double or nothing.
Yeah. Unbelievable. I'm happy, excited, nervous, anxious, everything you want to say for the matchup Saturday. I'm pretty hyped for it. But yeah, it's a lot of when we beat when Carolina beat Duke at Duke, Coach K's last game, ruined the farewell tour, whatever you want to call it. Didn't think we'd play them again. So, but I mean, if there's a chance to double down either side, it's an ultimate bragging rights. Never met in the NCAA tournament. Just very excited for this to happen, and I think a lot of the pressure is on one side. The other team can play without pressure. So,
Yeah. I don't know if people tuning into our show know what it's like to have your teams make a Final Four. Now I say A instead of the because both our teams made a Final Four this year, baby.
yeah, NIT. And that's Tuesday, right?
It's Tuesday.
Yeah.
The
Oh
Bonnies.
yeah. Yeah.
I did
Xavier. Good.
I did let me check the show real quick. I did a pod today about it. Shout out to 3-Bid League, the A10 podcast. I did their show today to preview Xavier and St. Bonaventure. But you guys don't care because it's the NIT. We're going to talk the NCAA tournament, and we're going to go through the Sweet 16 Elite games from each region. What a crazy weekend of games. I think before we get into it, I know you obviously want to talk about North Carolina. So do you want to get into North Carolina first? Or you want to save that for last?
Save it for last.
Okay.
Let's start. Yeah. Let's go in order, right? So let's go Thursday.
Okay. Arkansas, Gonzaga. That got me off to a good start.
Yeah, I mean, Arkansas or Gonzaga, they struggled with Georgia State, right? They ended up winning by 20, 25 points. Then they played Memphis in the second round. Memphis got up 10 points. So I needed a strong second half effort from Drew Timme. And, that's more on Memphis. They're better seed than most. But the athleticism and talent that Memphis had, it startled Gonzaga, and they kind of weren't ready for it. So then you go to Sweet 16, right? It's like, all right, first half, it's a slow, drag it out game, and I think that favored Arkansas more than Gonzaga. And just Arkansas made the shots on the stretch that they had to make. I mean, they were up 6, 7, 8 points. Chet Holmgren got some absolute bogus charges and fouls called on him. Just kind of really hate to see him getting fouled out there with, especially a player with his caliber, his talent. Seeing him fouled out, not being able to kind of, make his mark at the end of the game there kind of sucks to see it just as a basketball fan. But it was really fun to watch. Credit to Arkansas. Jalen Williams is a monster at drawing charges. I hate charges. I would like to ban them, but if you're gonna call him, I mean, he's gonna do well at it. Arkansas. They held their own, and then the game of the Sweet 16, I would that later tonight in San Francisco in the Bay, Texas Tech versus Duke. Unbelievable game.
Very
Texas Tech
good game.
gave it all they could. Duke, the last 8 minutes of the Sweet 16 game, they did not miss a single field goal attempt. Just showed how dominant they could be offensively and defensively. Jeremy Roach is playing like the 5-star point guard that he was. Just an unbelievable effort from Duke, and they solidified themselves in that Sweet 16 game. And then we can kind of go right to the anything you want to touch on Duke, Texas Tech. Okay, so we'll go.
Anything it's everyone knows at this point.
Right. I literally. So Duke, Arkansas, right? I did the dumb idea of convincing myself Arkansas had a chance, and 2 minutes into that game, I was like, nope. I said, we are dead. Just hoping. So Duke's flexes their muscles. Roach was great. Paolo was great. AJ Griffin.
Paolo was awesome.
They're they're a phenomenal team. And
Paolo's had an incredible tournament.
Yeah, I mean, top talent, top NBA players. He's making a case for the top overall pick. He definitely played better than Jabari, Chet, and Ivy. He's the only one still playing. So really hard to discount that right now. But Duke just flexed their muscles, solidified themselves in the Final Four. Just an incredible tournament so far for them. A lot of people were doubting them as a 2 seed. They said they kind of limped in. Matt Norlander wrote a good article saying the Duke North Carolina game Coach K's last game was good for both teams, right? It made North Carolina believe and gave them that like the proof that they can hang with the best
Hmm.
teams in the country and they can play to that level every night. And it made Duke maybe like refocus and like take a step back and like do a full 180, right? Like go from playing as bad as they were to being the best team in the country, which I believe they are at this moment. So
Definitely the best team available that's still left. So yeah, I agree. What Powell's been able to do for 4 games these last 2 weeks has been really impressive. I've got him on my board probably second behind
yeah,
Jabari still. I fully blame Jabari's guards for him not playing in the Sweet 16. But,
hmm
Miami also went to the Elite Eight and they played Kansas today, and we'll get
right.
to that here in a minute. But, you know, obviously a really, really cool experience. Duke, obviously, certainly flexed their muscle, like you said, to get to the Final Four. So kudos to them. Obviously sets up the game we're going to talk about a little later. So also that night we had the South region, which we saw Villanova play Michigan. And Villanova looked really good. I think Michigan made some runs throughout the game. Really played it close to the first half, but second half, Nova kind of just took over. Jermaine Samuels with 22 points in that game obviously went a long way. There was a lot of worry about Colin Gillespie's knee after that game, but he ended up playing on the Elite Eight on Saturday. But, Villanova's just Villanova, man. And I know everyone was like, the thing around people are like, are they a blue blood now? Like, they're absolutely a blue blood. They've won 2 of their last 6 national championships, and they're in the Final Four this year. They're a blue blood program.
Yeah, the culture they have and the guys that Jay Wright recruits and how they get them to buy in and develop. There's a reason he doesn't get the top 5 kids in the class every year, right? He gets fringe 5 stars, 4-star kids that come in, know their role, and will accept that and buy into that, and build into that culture that they have. Like look at Jeremiah Robinson or Colin Gillespie, Jermaine Samuels. Like there are guys that like just, I mean, they thrive in these roles that they're given, and it wasn't given to them overnight, right? Like Gillespie won a national championship as a freshman, didn't play much, but and now look at him now; he's writing his own passage to get Villanova to the Final Four. They just, I've been super impressed with them. They'll play any style that you want. If you want to get out and run and gun, they can do that. If they want to slow the game down, drag out game like it was against Houston, they will do that as well. And just a tremendous credit to them. They're so good defensively and they're so good offensively. They make you they value each possession, and they could pick you apart. Is really fun to watch. We can kind of just touch on the Elite Eight game here between between Houston and Villanova. Justin Moore popping his Achilles.
Sucks.
The last minute of the game is a brutal blow for them. If there's any team in the Final Four that can afford, I wouldn't even say afford an injury, but like can bounce back from an injury, it's Villanova, right? That's the next man up. It's the that culture and that belief that they have within each other. Like that's what they're meant to do. I think that's a brutal loss. It's their best outside shooter and they're starting two
Yeah.
guard, but I don't think they're gonna not. I don't think they're gonna come out and lay an egg Saturday. I think it's more, that I don't think that's really instilled in what their DNA is at Villanova basketball. So we can kind of
Yeah.
touch here. Houston, Arizona. I remember we were talking about it right when Arizona and TCU ended. We immediately started texting each other. I was like, man, if TCU gave Houston issue or gave Arizona issues, like Houston is going to devour them, and that's exactly what it was. It was that ass kicking on the defensive end by Houston.
Yeah.
Kelvin Sampson really just kind of outworked Tommy Lloyd, and kind of Lloyd was really in over his head. But just a, I mean, I know Sweet 16 feels like it was a month ago. Like I'd rather just focus on the Elite Eight games truly. But what a year for Kelvin Sampson. You lose Marcus Sasser, and another scorer as well. And Final Four last year, Elite Eight this year, and nothing to hang your hat on. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did get this question. We'll get to real quick
Yeah.
from Ethan Schrant. How impressive was the Kansas win, do you think? I was pretty impressed, honestly. I thought, first I want to give credit to Providence. I thought Providence played great on Friday and just didn't have the horses to match. It happens.
1 of 20 from 3 it's just a tough
Yeah.
day. Like
1 of 20 from 3 and you lose by 5. So like that tells you hit 2 threes, and I know that's always like the kind of the thing that people say. But today, a Miami Hurricane team that's really kind of, played really well. They were up 6.5, and then Kansas just locking them down, only holding the 15 points in the second half was really impressive. So I know we said we think Duke is probably the best team available. If Villanova had Justin Moore, I'd feel very good about this game. But I think without him, Kansas is going to be able to beat them.
Yeah, so to touch on his Ethan's comment today about how their win was today, Yeah, I mean, I was out running some errands this morning. Got home right at the halftime of the Kansas Miami game. I was following most of it on my phone, but I immediately live bet on Kansas second half 4.5, and then live bet them immediately just because I was like, "There's no way they're going to lose this game." They were
Yeah.
not going inside the David McCormick in the first half, but they're so deep. I mean, Joseph Yetsu, Remy Martin, Christian Braun, like David McCormick, Jalen Wilson. Like this team is built for these runs in March, and they're playing up to their level right now. I was thoroughly impressed with the second half. It's just an ass whipping. On the defensive end is really where they cause trouble. Miami's so good at swinging the ball and cutting backdoor cuts and getting shooters open for Isaiah Wong and Cameron McGusty, but they really played that no middle defense where when McGusty tried to drive, he had to kick out to Charlie Moore or kick out to Isaiah Wong, and Kansas just went relentless pressure there to just really stifle what Miami was trying to do. The second half just kind of was an ass whipping. Really no other way to
Yeah.
put it.
No.
Miami just kind of looked around and was like, kind of threw their hands out. They're like, well, I think we're done here. But I was thoroughly impressed with Kansas and exactly with what you said. I think they will beat Villanova. I think you're setting up a Kansas and then one of Carolina Duke, obviously, in the finals, which would be a great matchup. I'm thoroughly impressed with Bill Self. You know, they got the ass whipping at home against Kentucky this year, but they won the Big 12 tournament, second in the Big 12 overall. Like just sneaky good. How always it's his fourth Final Four at Kansas. They jumped Kentucky at the all-time winningest program in NCAA history with a couple wins this year. So just really impressed with what Kansas did this year. This one seed in the South or the Midwest, but they're the only one seed to make the Final Four, and you got to give their credit where credit is due. So I think they deserve it definitely. So
Yeah, I totally agree. So let's kind of talk real quick about some of this Friday, just to kind of touch them real fast. Obviously, St. Peter's was, the Cinderella of the tournament, and what they were able to do to Purdue to just kind of close the game out was so impressive. Obviously, make Jaden Ivey make some decisions he didn't want to make. He did not have a really good game at all, and really kind of just forced the ball out of his hands down the stretch was really impressive for them. And then North Carolina beating UCLA, the later game that I could not make. I was so tired. It was one of those really tough games for me. So, because I'm an old man
yeah,
and, don't even think I made the Miami Ohio State game. I did not. So I
yeah,
watched it the next morning.
right. So yeah, we'll talk St. Peter's Purdue first, right? Like Jaden Ivey is gonna be a bona fide star in the NBA. He is a John Morant clone. I think he does things that he's the way he pushes the ball, the way he can finish at the rim through contact, and the way he can get can beat defenders off that first quick step. But that college, like him in college is such a weird, it's such a weird thing to watch, right? Like St. Peter's locked in defensively, right? And where like North Carolina had success against St. Peter's today is where Purdue failed. Carolina would throw it into Brady Manick or throw it into Armando Bacot, and they would hit this quick hitters and go to the basket. Zach Edey being 7'4", he likes to take his time, right? Like back down, and love to see that, Ryan. But he, Zach Edey would catch the ball in the post and take a couple dribbles, and that's where Purdue or St. Peter's would be able to double and quick hitters. So Ivy had 7 turnovers. Just really frustrating game from him. But if you're a Purdue fan, you're just absolutely devastated. Had a easy path to the Elite Eight, and you would play either an 8 seed or a 4 seed. But St. Peter's, man, I mean, first 15 seed to ever make it to the Elite Eight out of the MAC or MEAC, sorry,
Pretty impressive.
a phenomenal run from them. Shaheen Holloway, the next head coach at Seton Hall, just that guy. The price for his contract went way up this run. Listening to him, listening to the kids in interviews, it was really fun to watch. Just truly loved it. Like loved watching this team. It was funny, like when they beat Purdue, it was that realization where I was like, wow, like if Carolina wins tonight against UCLA and we're going to play them, like it's such a funny, like, wow, I hate to root against them, but at the same time, I hope we beat them by 100, right? So,
Right.
but and then
Today felt like you beat them by 100.
yeah, today was a good game for Carolina, but the UCLA Carolina game, that was one of my favorite games of the tournament to watch. Bias aside, but what Caleb Love was able to do in the second half, he had the Space Jam 11s on, had 3 points at halftime. Eric Hoots, the player development guy for Carolina, made him change it to the Pantone 11s, and when she had 27 points in the second half, just absolutely went bonkers and willed Carolina to a victory by hitting 2 late threes. There was a possession where the game was tied. Carolina was down 1. Ball was going out of bounds. Armando Bacot jump saves it. Right to Caleb Love, corner pocket 3. boom, puts us up 2, get a stop, and come down and Caleb Love hits another 3. We're up 5 with a minute left, and the momentum shifted so quick. I was really impressed with how Carolina was defensively, and I think that'll lead to our Final Four conversations. But, you know, Jaime Jaquez and Johnny Juzang, they were hitting a lot of tough jumpers in the first half where I was like, this isn't sustainable, right? Like Leaky Black is playing great defense where I'm like, okay, like we'll live with those shots, right? Like backing you down 2 seconds left on the shot clock. Like we will live with those all day. But just Carolina just didn't go away. Brady Manick was ice. RJ Davis was great. Caleb Love, played amazing this in this postseason so far. So super happy with how that game worked out. And then to tonight's game, just kind of what everybody thought would happen after St. Peter's beat Kentucky happened, right? Like they just ran into a team that too much size and too much athleticism and just a better team, and the better team won tonight. St. Peter struggled to score, and when the lead went from 7 to 12 to 15, it just truly felt like St. Peter's didn't have enough gas to come back in. Carolina was getting easy looks at the basket, so super happy. Obviously, you only can control who you play. A lot of people are saying the easiest route to the tournament ever, but Carolina beat a 9-seed Marquette, the defending national champions Baylor in the second round, and then beat a UCLA team who was in the Final Four last year in the Sweet 16. I can't help that Purdue and Kentucky lost before their rounds. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with that. So
exactly. All right. So Ethan had another really good question. I want to make sure we get up here. North Carolina or Kansas, which would be your best bet? I'm sure the lines will be quite small and Nova has a chance of being favored. Thanks for answering my question. First off, Ethan, thank you for asking us 2 really good questions. We're definitely really, really appreciative of that.
Yeah. So I got the lines pulled up right here. Opening line is Kansas -4, over under 132.5, and North Carolina Duke is favored by 4 points, over under 150.5. So we'll start with the Kansas Villanova game. I lean Kansas initially.
I do too.
Just because the Justin Moore injury is going to be a huge blow to Villanova. If you are the betting type, which it sounds like you are with these questions, I would lock in Kansas early. Justin Moore, I don't think this line is going to be going down. I think the public is going to be on Kansas pretty heavy. And if that line gets to 6, 6.5, 7, which I doubt it really will, but 5.5, 6 points, then you can convince me to talk me into Villanova. But at 4 right now, I think that's a 2-possession game with some free throws at the end. I think I'd lean Kansas at the initial. I don't mind the over either. 132 is pretty low but I guess Villanova, the way they're going to want to drag it out. But as for the last game, Carolina Duke, there's not a chance I'm ever taking Duke, but I don't think they're a terrible side here. Duke beat Carolina by 21 in Chapel Hill in February. And obviously Carolina beat Duke by 12, 15 at Durham in the last game. So both teams are playing phenomenal. It's really going to come down to outside shooting. Duke struggles from the outside. Carolina's in fuego from the outside. Something has to change here. Carolina can play inside out. Armando Bacot versus Mark Williams is a great matchup. Who guards Paolo is a big question, but Leaky Black's going to be guarding somebody. So it'd be fun to watch him. I lean Carolina. I think a lot of pressure's on Duke here. But I think the general public's going to be all over Duke. I don't hate the idea of maybe, putting a future on, once the odds come out, future on Duke to win the national title and then potentially hedging if they get there in the final game. So,
yeah. Thanks again, Ethan. Those are great questions.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Better odds, because you and I are the ones that do this show. North Carolina wins the national championship or Xavier wins the NIT. What are you thinking?
Say that again. What do I think if that happens?
What's the better chance? North Carolina wins it all or Xavier wins the NIT?
Xavier wins the NIT. And not even I love this team. It gives me big 2014 Kentucky vibes as the 8 seed, right? Just
Julius Randle's team, yeah.
Had the talent all year long. Frustrating losses, blown out losses, just really frustrating. Where you're like, these guys aren't just clicking, and then all of a sudden in March it clicks, right? Carolina, albeit they beat Marquette by 30. They were up 25 on Baylor when Brady Manick gets ejected. They beat UCLA by 6, and then they beat St. Peter's by 20. They are rolling right now. They are running into their arch rival and a juggernaut right now in the tournament, but I would not be surprised if they beat Duke to see them, cut down the nets, which would be just a crazy, crazy year with how up and down I was on this team. But the fight to him, I ate crow with Hubert Davis. I was really frustrated with him. It's never about him as a person, right? That's what I can separate. I love Hubert Davis, the man, but as a coach, I was really frustrated with some of his schemes and his offense identity. But I'm happy to be wrong, and my team is in the Final Four after I didn't think they'd even make it out of the second weekend. So
They're in a Final Four. A Final Four.
yeah,
There's 2 Final Fours going on. Okay.
correct. We're in the NCAA tournament Final Four in New Orleans Saturday.
You're in this Final Four that matters.
True. And I think it's a good one. I mean, I'm not discrediting that, but yeah, I'm super excited. Just, I mean, I'm enamored. This is gonna be the longest week of my life, right? Like, I'm really just gonna like play video games or listen to. I mean, I'm gonna listen to the podcast and stuff just to get my fair share. But I think there's gonna come a day, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm just gonna have to take a break for a couple of days and not think about it because when Saturday comes,
that was the Super Bowl for me. I was like, I'm not listening to any podcasts. I was like, because I don't want to get like wrapped in this because I know how I feel already.
Right, and that's we are from Cincinnati. Obviously, most people know that listening, but yeah, man, the Bengals losing the Super Bowl. Carolina plays Duke in the Final Four. Like something's got to give here, right? Like I'm due for one, and I think beating Coach K and sending him off with another L would be just a phenomenal way to end it for him. Or like I think it's going to end up. I do think Duke wins it all. I think the story is just writing itself. They look good. They're playing hard. So I'm pretty excited for this weekend. It's going to be a great game. I think it'll be close regardless. But my favorite moment of the weekend was, it was funny, Paolo calling Coach K the GOAT. He telling him to shut up. And then watching Hubert Davis tonight after he won, right when the seconds were clicking down, Jeff Lebo, Brad Frederick, Sean May, Brad Sullivan, they're all hugging each other. Hubert's enamored, emotional. And then in the post game, he's crying, wanting to talk to the players, doesn't want to talk about himself. So really a contrast of good and evil here, where one side's the good side, and I think you can know who the bad side is. But I mean, it's Coach K's earned all the accolades, he earns all this, but this media tour is,
it's ran its course.
Yeah, I'm not ready for a national title, so.
Yeah. So, during the Bengals season on every Sunday, I do a bourbon for Burrow.
Yeah.
So tonight I'm doing a bourbon for Brady because you're in the Final Four. So cheers.
Cheers to that. So I mean, like I said, I bought my Final Four gear tonight. I bought my RJ Davis old school throwback jersey. I was between RJ Davis and Armando Bacot. Didn't know which one to lean. I leaned RJ just because I like the guards a little bit better. Love Armando, but like UNC against Duke, you can get hot in March while being trashed the whole season and still make a deep run. Good luck with Target. See, that's the energy we needed tonight. All-time comment. I'm super excited. I mean, like I'm kind of speechless about it. Just truly locked in this year. And this tournament run's been awesome. A lot of stress-free games. The Marquette game was stress-free. The Baylor game was not, but Baylor, I never thought an Elite Eight game against a 15 seed would be as easy as it was. But man, was I pretty happy today. So.
Yeah, absolutely, as you should be. Yeah, man, just awesome. I'm stoked for you. I'm stoked for Ryan, obviously, who's hanging out with us today. Really pumped up as well. And so this is cool, man.
Last thing I want to say is, like, this is just like, even I know this sounds like loser talk or like just trying to get ahead of another narrative, but like Carolina needed this Final Four more than I'd say any team that's in it, right? Like, it's not even the Final Four, but they needed a good tournament run, and they got it, right? Hubert Davis, first-year head coach, faced a lot of animosity and a lot of adversity this year, right? So solidifies himself as the second first-year coach to ever make a Final Four behind Bill Guthridge, who did it with North Carolina in '94. Like 96, sorry, but literally this helps recruiting, this helps the transfer portal, this helps NIL. Like, this just makes life for Hubert Davis 10 times easier, right? Like the pitch of come to Carolina and win. Like, you're not talking about the glory days. You're not talking about years past where, hey, we won the title in 17. Like, you're talking about like the present. Like, last year we were in the Final Four. Like, you come to us, we will redo this again. So he needed this, a shot in the arm again for the program. This is our third Final Four in 6 years. I'm not talking about other teams, but a lot of fans, UK fans, saying we dusted you guys by 33 in December, but they don't hang.
That was December.
They don't hang those things in December. You win national titles in March, and my team's still playing. I'm super happy. I mean, can't wait for Saturday already. I'm sure I'll talk myself into 100 different scenarios, but super.
Do you think? I wonder. So it's been pretty well reported that Terrence Shannon has entered the transfer portal. I wonder if UNC is going to be a name that pops on his radar. Because you got to think like there's got to be some interest.
Well, we recruited him out of high school, but I mean, it all comes down to decisions, right? Like, there's going to be There's going to be people who leave. There's a couple guys that buried on the bench who played last year. Kerwin Walton's a perfect example. I could see him probably transferring somewhere. Armando, like, that's the thing is, like, Caleb Love, Armando Bacot, if you would have asked me before the tournament, I thought they probably both would come back. But the tournament run, yeah, I'm with you there. But before the tournament, I would have told Armando Bacot and Caleb Love would have came back, right? But a Final Four round, I mean, look at Dante DiVincenzo. Look, I mean, sometimes, like, you play yourself into these positions. Like, if Caleb Love goes out there and has a great night against Duke and then has a good night in the national championship game, like, he's gone, like, right? But
yeah,
the transfer portal, you have to see right when the season ends. We'll have to see who enters and who doesn't. But yeah, I mean, Shannon fits an ideal mold for what Carolina needs. But I'm not really worried about who's going to be on the team next year until the season's really over. So
yeah, I totally get that. So, all right, Ken Palm has already released their predictions. They say the Duke wins 79-75. And in the Kansas-Villanova game, they have Kansas winning 70-69. So
over under 150 for the Carolina Duke game, and they have the spread -4. Like, usually right on the money. But yeah, Ken Palm has a lot of faith in Villanova without Justin Moore. I don't know where they get that outside shooting from, but I think we get so we'll close on this, or we'll touch on this for the Final Four. Give me your prediction for a national championship game and your national champion. Go ahead.
I'm so hoping I'm wrong because I've absolutely loved Villanova and Carolina for the last month and a half. I've just loved how they both have played. And I know Xavier fans get annoyed with me that I love Villanova. It's not like I'm a fan of them. It's just their product is fantastic. It is incredible. So I really feel, but without Justin Moore, just not really having someone who can stretch the floor for them. Like, I love Jermaine Samuels. He's an awesome player. I love Eric Dixon. I love Colin Gillespie. But Justin Moore is kind of the guy to put that all together. Caleb Daniels, Brandon Slater, those guys, they can lean on quite a bit. They have to lean on Brandon Slater a lot more now. And that's going to be something that really scares me. Where on the other end, like, look, Dave McCormick, Christian Braun, Ochai Agbaji, Jalen Wilson, you know what you're getting from those guys. And like, they're going to be able to put stuff together. I just don't see a situation where it's like Kansas has things that they can throw at Villanova that Villanova can't match. I don't think Villanova has anything they can throw at Kansas that Kansas can't match. So I'm going with Kansas, but I do think it's going to be a little closer than how you feel. I think this is like a 64-60 game with, like, coming down to the wire. Villanova might be up 3 at halftime, and Kansas just takes over in the second half. Ethan, if you're still here, I want to ask real quick, what was it like today to beat up on Charlie Moore, knowing that that was 4 schools ago that he played at Kansas?
Yep.
So if you're still in the comments, I'll happily display what you have to say there. But on the other side, Duke Carolina, I've loved Carolina, not just because you're my friend. I've really enjoyed watching them play. I think what they've been able to do this past few months has been incredible. Not just the Duke win, but not just the Baylor win, not just the UCLA win. They've just really been able to put a run together and be confident and competitive. And you're seeing everything click for them. Like you said, Caleb Love, RJ Davis, Brady Manick, Armando Bacot's been awesome. He's been so good. Probably put himself in the mid to late first round, from probably being a mid-second rounder at early points in the draft. And I've loved what they've been able to do, and I love the swagger they have. I know that they believe they're going to beat Duke, and I love that about them. But Paolo, AJ Griffin, Trevor Keel. Is Trevor Keel out still? Am I missing something here? Okay.
No,
okay. So, yeah, this Duke thing is just, I hate it. I don't want to see them win. I know the NCAA wants to see them win because it's great money. But I think Duke beats them. And the championship, I think Duke beats Kansas. I just think Paolo and AJ Griffin is just going to be a little too much.
Yeah, I'm going Kansas over Duke in the finals. I think the winner of Carolina Duke is going to have an emotional hangover for a day, and that is really tough to beat your arch rival and then have a day off and then play in the national title game. But yeah, I think you can hit it right on the head. I think Miami celebrated that game at halftime like they won the game, and Kansas came out in the second half and went on them. So,
yeah, I agree. So Ethan said it was bittersweet but nice to beat up on his team, especially seeing how hyped he was at halftime. They had quite a bit of insight, and they savored every moment of the second half. So I like that. Let's give some props to Jim Larinaga. What a run he had at Miami. I mean, I saw Miami play a couple years ago in Charleston, And it was like when they were kind of like putting this process together, and I went, "Oh yeah, Jim Larrañaga is the head coach at Miami now." And now they're, and now they were a half away from being in the Final Four. So that's pretty cool. I really like that a lot.
They were a team that was hit by that NCAA violations, the Adidas scandal, right? And they've kind of bounced back slowly but surely. They had a couple rough years, but yeah, Larrañaga's a great coach. Always beats up on Carolina and Duke. Just really tough team with good guards, and Moore, McGusty, and Wong are really good players that had a good run and made it to their first ever Elite Eight. So props to Miami. Just ran into a better team today.
So since obviously the Final Four, I should count on seeing you Sunday instead of Saturday next weekend?
Yeah, there no chance I'm previewing the national title game, win, lose, or draw after that
game. So yeah, I figured as much.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Just wanted to kind of hop on real quick and talk about this. Not a whole lot of news elsewhere. Archie Miller got the job at Rhode Island. Miami, Ohio is still looking for a coach, from what I understand. They're still kind of trying to figure stuff out. But not anything groundbreaking by any means that we had last week, except for Frank Martin's going to UMass. Did you see that?
Great hire. His wife's an alum at UMass. Good for him, right?
Yeah, excited for him. A10, getting some good coaches. You love to see it.
Yeah. We need some other good mid-major leagues, right? But the OVC kind of crumbling. We need the Missouri Valley and the A10 to be good. Loyola's going to the A10. It'd be nice to have some good programs there. Yeah,
they're getting gutted. Like going to the A10.
OVC's dead, so.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, awesome. Well, man, again, I'm really happy for you. This is awesome to see your team playing for this. Ethan, thanks for hanging out with us and giving us some really good questions and comments tonight. So we appreciate you hanging out. Hopefully you come back in the future. But we're going to wrap this up. Thank you all for tuning in. Enjoy the Final Four. Have a good night, and we will see you soon.
Cheers.